President. Well, Senator Steele-John, I said we'd be back. Ministerial Monday. Ministerial lack of accountability Monday. And every Monday we'll be back asking for these documents. This government hiding behind a public interest immunity claim is just shameful. They came into this election, this government, during the election saying they would be all about transparency, they'd be all open. But we also have Minister Shorten out there talking about the demand-driven scheme, that there would be no cuts, that he was a friend of the disability community. Well, that is farcical, because we are seeing this campaign ramping up, with Minister Shorten now getting into an almost threatening position with the state premiers as we head into a disability ministers meeting this week. We know National Cabinet's probably this week, that we are going to see the Bonner-Haidee review presented. Now, the Bonner-Haidee review was actually due in October, and we were told that we would have the Bonner-Haidee review in October. But it was actually during the last round of estimates we found that no one was going to get the review until it had been through National Cabinet. And at that stage, no one could tell us when National Cabinet was. Now, thankfully, I actually managed to find out during the estimates that it was the week of December the 4th. So it was buried until the end of the year, hoping that they could fundamentally put this review out with the trash, put it out just before Christmas, hoping no one would notice. Well, shame on all of you. And I can tell you, I've just spent on the weekend getting messages from a number of families whose concerns are increasing about their child's access within the NDIS. These are kids who were diagnosed long before the DSM-4 became the DSM-5, who were not diagnosed autism level 1, 2, 3. They were diagnosed as classical autism. They weren't given PDD, NOS, global developmental delay. They weren't given Asperger's. They weren't given any of the diagnoses that now don't exist anymore and fall under autism level 1. They actually were given classical autism. They also had delays. Many of them had an intellectual disability tied in with that. And they are now concerned because as their kids have got a bit older, some areas they're now being classified as autism level 2, some autism level 3. They don't understand whether or not their child is still going to be covered by this scheme, because autism is being used as the catch-all for where they're saying that they're going to cut from this scheme. But we wouldn't know. No one knows where they got these figures from, because the transparency they promise, we know, is a complete myth. We know that the transparency they proposed was just a slogan, a bit like the $275 off your power bill. It actually had nothing to do with reality and how they were planning to govern. It was just a slogan put forward. And the claim that this would upset our relationship with the states was the reason for not providing us with this document, this framework of how they were going to cut billions and billions of dollars out of the NDIS. Well, let me tell you, I'll give you a little tip. Have a look at any of the newspapers today and even some over the weekend. The premiers aren't that happy with you guys anyway. They're already not that happy. They're not that happy when it comes to your infrastructure cuts. They're absolutely not that happy now that Minister Shorten is not really being upfront with them. And we've actually got Jacinta Allen, the Premier of Victoria, saying it's completely irrelevant, Mr Shorten, because she's only going to deal with Albanese anyway. And Albanese's the one that I understand that said to Shorten, just go and cut a whole lot of autistic kids out of the NDIS. So this is going from bad to worse. It is a farce. But this is just compounding the fear that families of children with severe and significant permanent and lifelong disabilities are facing, because they know that this government doesn't actually want to provide services and assistance for people with a disability. What they're more interested in doing is providing job opportunities for those that will join the HSU. All they're interested in is boosting the service providers who will join their mates' unions. It's not about the participants for those over there. Now, I'm the first to say that the states have vacated the field, but that was because when Prime Minister Gillard negotiated the NDIS, she said to all the states to get them on board, hey, don't worry about any increase in costs, the Commonwealth will bear those. So as the scheme has continued to grow, it is the Commonwealth that picks up the tab. But to boost that, the states have vacated the field. They've taken community health away, the supports they provide in the education services, which is their responsibility. Constitutionally, that is their purview. They have vacated the field. But not only is Minister Shorten and Prime Minister Albanese treating the ministers and premiers of states with contempt, he's treating the Senate with contempt, and they are treating the Australian disability community with contempt.